Welcome to Chris and Carlette Live, a podcast about life, love, and overcoming obstacles. Each week, we discuss the good, the bad, and the indifferent of life's interruptions. Now, here's your host, Chris and Carlette.
Keep believing, don't go stressing, keep it moving. God, we're resting, here to help you, here to bless you. With God on our side, CNC Life.
All right. Get your mic all set up, Evan. All right. Here, lower down. There you go. All right. So today you're filling in for none other than your mom, Carlette Edwards, right?
Yes.
Yes. So
last time.
Like last time. Exactly. So let's see here. I want to make sure everything is good to go. Yes. So last week, that was what?
It was my birthday.
It was your birthday, right?
And I got lightsabers, 3 lightsabers. I got a puzzle, a robot. I had a good cake. It was a Star Wars cake.
What?
Yes. It had Ray, Finn. It got R2-D2.
Mm-hmm.
That was and it had vanilla.
Vanilla.
It was a vanilla cake.
Wow.
Got some icing.
So what else? Where did we go for dinner? Where did?
Oh, I know this.
Yeah. Just what was the experience like?
It was with wasabi.
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 Yeah, wasabi. Yeah. It's a Hitachi grill or something like that. But where they what? What did they do?
They did a did a show. They did the fire and everything, and they cooked the food so fast. I was like, wow, they're very talented.
Oh wow! Your mom said, "Hey." She
Hi,
said, "Hey,
Mommy.
Evan." That was fun, man. That was fun. So this week is the week that you go back to school. Yes. Are you excited?
Yes, it's gonna be very hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering to make friends.
You want to make friends?
Yes.
So why did you say it's going to be very hard?
Because I'm about to get in 3rd grade in 2 days, in Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's going to be easy, and then harder, and then very hard.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to be a doctor and a basketball player.
Okay. So you got to study hard, right?
Yes.
That's very good. Now, how are you going to manage with this coronavirus?
Well, you used to say this coronavirus is getting worse and worse.
Uh-huh.
I think they should have not made the coronavirus. I think they should just like.
So you think somebody
chill out.
You think somebody made the coronavirus, huh?
Yes.
Interesting.
They they hit it so hard, and it spread in, and everybody got sick, and then they had to went to the hospital.
Oh wow! What do you think about wearing masks?
I think people should not take off their mask,
Mm-hmm.
because in CNN they said they should wear masks. I think they should take off the mask. I think we should put on back the mask, and everybody will be fine. Like, in my school, a lot of girls and boys got sick, so I think they should.
They should wear masks.
Yes.
Gotcha. Well, good, man. I'm excited for you. This is a new.
And whose birthday's coming up?
Who?
Mommy's birthday is coming up.
Do you know the date?
It is August 29th?
No, you're close though. On
No,
August.
August 3rd. August
No,
3rd.
it's August 23rd.
23rd.
So she's gonna be celebrating all month, huh?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then she's gonna want something big.
And do that. Yeah, do it.
Oh, you want me to do that? Okay. My producer wants me to do. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Mommy's birthday is gonna happy early birthday, Mommy.
That's cool. Watch, don't hit that cord.
Okay.
That's exciting because your mom, she's probably gonna want, a house for her birthday this time or something
Oh.
big. She has to.
No, Mommy, do not buy a house on your birthday. Probably we can buy a house next year.
Next year.
Yeah,
Ooh, next
because
year,
we lived in California for 5 years.
4 years.
4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So when it's the next year, it's gonna be 3 years.
Oh, okay.
So we can probably move.
No, we're not gonna move. Oh, you mean buy a house?
Yeah, buy a house and on the 4th year.
Mm.
So I want to do that again, just like we did in California.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll see about it. Anything on your heart today? Has God laid anything on your heart?
Yes.
What's that?
I don't really know.
You don't know yet.
Yeah.
You had any cool dreams?
No.
No.
It was
Okay.
creepy.
It was creepy. Okay. Well, hey, I have 2 other guests on the.
It's a pastor and my cousin.
Well, both of them are your cousins.
What?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
You want to introduce them?
Hi. Hi, cousins.
One is Pastor Gary Bush.
One.
Say, I would like to introduce
I would like to introduce
to some
guests.
Pastor Gary Bush,
Pastor Gary Bush,
who is my cousin,
who's my cousin.
and Pastor, not Pastor, but Elder, Elder Daren Blakely,
My cousin.
your cousin.
Just like my uncle Jay Blakely.
Exactly. So there they are.
Hi, cousin.
Hey, Evan. Hey, Evan.
All right. So, hey, Daren, your top of your head is being cut off.
I see.
Okay, cool.
Sorry about that.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction of our guest.
I heard you was talking about men.
We are talking about men's from a men's perspective.
I can't talk.
Yeah, no, this conversation is a little bit too involved for you.
Too grown up.
Too grown up. Exactly. Is on the phone. Is on. He just said, "Hey," I should say. So,
On the show.
yeah. All right, buddy. We have to go. I know you want to stay on the show.
But it's too young. It's too young to me.
Yeah. So say bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right.
Bye, Evan.
Go watch TV.
Okay.
All right. Love you.
Love you too.
What's going on, Pastor Bush and Pastor? It just flows.
No, just Daren.
Just Daren. Okay. All right. What's going on, guys? How you all doing?
Yeah, hey, all is well.
Good. Thank you for coming on to the show on the Chris and Carlette. Well, today is just the Chris live show because Carlette is not here, as you see. She has an empty chair. So we both want to thank you all for showing up and saying yes to being on our show.
Sure.
Yes. So, Pastor Bush, you want to formally introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Daren.
Pastor Gary Bush, Temple of Faith Church of God in Christ in Kokomo, Indiana. I'm just so glad to be here. All three of us have an Indiana connection. The two of you more so than me, even. But I'm a
Right.
transplant to the state of Indiana. Good to be
Yes.
here with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. And the lovely First Lady Sandra Bush.
Yes, man. Yes, sir. Excuse me.
Sorry.
Yes, that is my connection to the family. My
Yes,
beautiful
yes,
wife, Sandra Bush.
yes, yes. And Darren, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, Daren Blakely, originally from Indiana by way of Texas. Now, it's ironic that Gary, you're from Texas. Right. So you left Texas to go to Indiana, and I left Indiana to come to Texas. That's right. And yeah, so a member of Potter's House, North Dallas. Pastor Cheryl Brady is my pastor.
Good, good. And
And
your
been
lovely
here,
wife.
my lovely wife, Nakia Emmons Blakely. And we've been here, Texas, I guess next month will be, I think, 14 years, I believe it is.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool. Well, thank you, thank you. So I wanted to keep this as organic. Oh, by the way, I know everybody has received their book, but just for TV or internet streaming purposes, please go out and purchase His Beauty, Her Battle. You can catch it at, you can purchase it at Life's with an S, Interruptions with an S.com. It's a great read, fantastic read, and I'm pretty sure that you will be blessed. Please go out and buy. Um,
I highly recommend it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we're going to have to
Yes.
get you back on the
Excellent.
show, Pastor Bush, in order to kind of give a synopsis and, just that whole, what they call it, book reading thing or whatever. So, yeah,
Yes.
we got to get
Yes.
in contact with you so you can come back. And as well as you, Darren, if you finished it. So, but I wanted to keep this show as organic as possible and just let it flow. Really wanted to touch on black men's perspective. Like, what is our perspective on just life, just things that we're dealing with day to day, the hustle and the bustle and the grind. So the first question that I wanted to, and then if you all have any other questions, feel free to chime in if you have any, other topics. So it's kind of just, very organic, like I said. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was, as black men, as men just in general, um, how are we dealing with the pressures of life when it comes to this pandemic? I mean, for me, it's like a lot of things that I have to think about. One is if I'm gonna send my kids to school. Two, how are we going to navigate and not get sick in this pandemic? Three, ensuring that the finances are still flowing, taking on multiple responsibilities, explaining to Evan and Chloe the significance of this pandemic. So how are you all relating to as a man? How are you all relating to this pandemic? And we'll start with you, Pastor Bush.
Well, when it first began, of course, it was very scary for everyone. And, just taking precaution, being very careful, being, with a spiritual basis, you always wanted to kind of look for the deeper meaning in this whole episode, this plague or this pandemic. And of course, as Bible believing people, we held on to Psalm 91 and we read Psalm 91 each day and prayed it over ourselves and over our family. And we just really made it a point of drawing closer to God because it was a situation where we really needed God because there were so many questions and there was so many unknowns about the present and the future. So that was the spiritual piece. The natural piece was, it's kind of comical. Of course, we were spending a lot of time at home, And so that first few months, I had the opportunity to complete a lot of tasks that my wife had had been after me for because
The
we were
honeydew
spending so
list.
much time at home.
The honeydew
And
list.
because, we had that time available, I actually ran out of things to do. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I painted our shed, I painted the door to the garage, the side door, I painted the main doors. It was just so many things that, Sandra had been after me or following up with me to complete. Some things inside the house, outside the house. That was kind of the fun part.
Mhm.
And it got to a point where I ran out of things to do.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
With Sandra, you ran out of stuff to do?
Yes,
Oh
yes, yes.
man.
Ran out of things to do. That was kind of the comical side of it.
Uh-huh.
The other side, the psychological side, was when you were, being so accustomed to being on the go all the time and being very, very busy. That it was a eye opener to have so much time available because all of our conventions were shut down, our church events were shut down, our churches were shut down, etc. And so, we had time there as well. So it was a big, big, big adjustment. And it was, to me, it was critical
Mhm.
that you just made sure that you stayed healthy psychologically and physically. So I picked up my walking routine, made sure I got exercise, etc. So it was very multifaceted.
Mhm.
It was a lot to deal with.
Mhm. What about you, Darren?
Well, from a spiritual standpoint, we, of course, our church shut down too, and um, what was still happening with Nikia still on the praise team, the worship as a worship leader at the church, they were still going into the church. Um, the worship team, along with the band, and Pastor Brady would come in and she would preach
Mhm.
to an empty audience, Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. So that in itself, for the first time, um, I experienced not being able to go to church
Oh wow.
Mm.
in my life. And that was, I know for all, but, you know, of course, we're all church babies, and we lived in church. And my dad being a pastor, and then he was involved with the state, local, and national level. There was a great demand, for him always over the years that I always known him to be. So it was we never stayed. He for the most part, our parents never really let us stay with other people. If they went, we went. It
Mhm.
wasn't even an option. So that 15, 16 months, that was very, very different, to be home on a Sunday morning, which, that still just kind of, we just really opened back up, I think about 6 weeks ago. So the new norm is still there. It's getting there, but it's not quite there yet. Of course, they're still, having to sign in, and they're not at capacity. They're at we're probably about 70% of letting people come in the church and stuff like that. So that was definitely different. But on the natural side, we actually became closer. We got closer. Um, our journeys was kind of going in a different direction because she was since we have shut down, she became a publisher, a publishing company that had started, last year, and that definitely had, taken on its new legs and in a new direction. But we found time to be able to work together, at home and be together, pray more, and just those things that we weren't able to do because, to Gary, just all was saying that, sorry, Pastor Gary, that we were,
Gary's fine.
just going. Yeah. So we were always just on the go. And to me, I took it as, God has a way of getting our attention if we so desire to
Mhm.
want to you know, kind of dig in and see what he has for us during that season. Yes, he didn't create the um, this virus, you know, but at the same time, that was an opportunity, especially for couples,
Mm-hmm.
you know, really just if they were, you know, off track or
Mm-hmm.
just weren't just meeting each other, you know, and we took it as an opportunity for us to be able to even strengthen our marriage even the more because we're just huge proponents of couples and marriage and the institution of
Mm-hmm.
marriage, you know. So that's what we honed in
Mm-hmm. What were some of the things you all did to strengthen your marriage?
on. We actually one of the things that we did, we were very intentional. You know, of course, we wrote a book and called Crosses and Crowns, and in the book, you know, was categories that um, we were very serious about that we thought that we needed to just kind of do some intervention on. Not that anything was wrong, but you know, the enemy is right there, you know,
Mm-hmm.
at bay, you know, where he comes nothing but to seek and devour. And if there's any kind of open um, cracks and people don't address the cracks in the wall and there isn't any caulking there that you put in place, believe me, he's looking for that seepage.
Mm-hmm.
So we were very intentional in going back into the book itself for us because we were able to relate to it, and they were, you know, in each chapter there's like discussion questions, and we were able to kind of go through that again,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like maximizing, you know, the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
that was before us,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the things we definitely did
What
for
about you,
sure.
Pastor Bush?
Well, it forced us, like Daren said, it forced families to spend more time together.
Mm-hmm.
And we're empty nesters. And so we found that we could get on more of a regular schedule.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something as simple as eating together, watching
Yeah.
movies together, watching TV together,
Mm-hmm.
because you know you had so much together time now, where before the pandemic, you know, we were going like Daren and Nakia, we were going in a lot of different directions. And so that's basically how we handled it as well. Just, you know, it forced us to spend more time together.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Um, when we talk about those pressures, though, like from a mental, like just how do you navigate? Like how would you explain to a man that's struggling and just trying to keep up with his family? What would you say to him, during this pandemic?
I would say, you know, one of the things I did, there were literally days, because I work from home, my secular career as well. There were literally days I would just get up from the desk and just walk outside,
Mhm.
just get some fresh air, just kind of clear my head. Those the fathers that have, you know, more pressures, that have children in the home, etc. You know, I would recommend, or would have recommended, that they just, you know, segment their days, you know, just um, deal with certain issues. As I always say, you know, it's easy to become overwhelmed if you try to take all issues on at the same time. Sometimes you just have to back up and acknowledge you can't handle everything at the same time, and just prioritize what needs to get done first. What do you need to address? What's the most critical area that needs to be addressed? And just take them one at a time so that you don't feel overwhelmed. And the other thing is, you have to ask God to help you control your thoughts
Mm.
so that your thoughts don't control you. So it's you know, thou will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee. Keep God at the forefront, and just continually and continuously seek God for direction in how to navigate life.
Mhm.
because there was a lot of pressure. Some men, lost their jobs,
Right.
and that was a tough thing to kind of navigate through that. But just always look past current circumstance and retain hope that God is going to bring you through whatever you're dealing with at that particular moment.
hmm So, like for me, it was at the onset. I don't know if someone has their audio too loud because I can hear like it's um you know what I'm saying. But uh for me, when the pandemic first struck, what really got me was looking back in California at all the long lines of people that needed food, and I'm like, man, that's deep. I mean, just I shouldn't say regular folk, but folks like us, just out there on the street, just these long hundreds like of people just in line to get food. I'm like, man, how are you dealing with it? And as men, our struggle is we want to be the provider for our family. And if we can't provide, then that's probably the most difficult thing in our DNA is not being able to provide. Well, most being, I should say, being able to provide for our family.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah,
So
I agree.
yeah, so
I agree.
I'm just like, oh my God. So just looking at that, just it was just stunning. So
Well, Chris, there were times that I devour the news,
hmm
and there were times that I had to change the channel
yeah, yeah.
because you can't carry that weight. If you continue to have that in front of you, and especially when you are a sympathetic or empathetic person, you can't help everybody, but you want to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so there's times you just have to back away.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Darren?
Um, for me, I kind of went back into um, my military mode
Wow.
from going back to basic training, some 35, 37 years ago, where they taught us some of the principal things, that I've always kept with me in the back of my mind, but I really applied them. And one of the first things that I so did, I said that, in your mind, it isn't so much of a fortress of a gate around the home,
Mm-hmm.
but I said that what I'm going to do is make sure I secure the perimeter of my
Mm.
home.
Mm-hmm.
And from a standpoint of, I was, I've always been the gatekeeper, but I was really the gatekeeper that, you know, that was at on patrol at all times to make sure, who was coming in, who was going out, whatever you got, you leave at the door. If you need to see us, we don't see you. All of those things, because to your point, excuse me, the wives are looking for some type of level of comfort. Women are more emotional. And even though we've never experienced this before in our generation,
Mm-hmm.
per se, we still had to come up with something in a fashion that they had a certain comfort that even though we didn't know we were doing, at the same time, there were times of showing strong leadership in that you were, you were taken care of. And of course, when she went to the church, on those Sundays, as far as with the praise team, worship leaders, as far as preparing for services, I couldn't control that situation. But one of the things that we definitely did is, as soon as you walk back in, we stripping those clothes, and you're getting directly in the shower, and
Mm-hmm.
those basic things, and that became our norm, you know, um, gloves, and if we went grocery shopping, get things, we were, wiping all the canned goods down and all of these things, that seemed like it wasn't a big deal, but we wanted to make sure that we wanted to protect as much as we can. And I too we are two are empty nesters.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is made a conscious effort to really just kind of check on my son,
Mm-hmm.
Armani,
Mm.
even the more,
Mm-hmm.
because as a father, even though my role has changed, I'm still his father. And the same thing with Chanel. My role has changed, and she has girls, but my role still remains the same. So, and we even became even closer, even during that time.
Wow.
You know, yeah, yeah,
So help me with this. Is there something like? Do you really think? And not to put you all on the spot, but um, is there? And I'm just going to leave this in general, but is there a side of a man that a woman can't understand, like what we're going through? Like, how do we put our emotions or our feelings or our mind? How do we verbalize that to our wives? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
Mhm.
like we can never know the pain that they go through when they have a child being
right,
born. But is
right.
there a side of a man that they will never know about as far as us just in general? Go ahead, Darren. Oh,
Um, well, I say that, that's where that communication just kind of comes in, and there isn't like high level expectations. I mean, there is limitations that each man has, and sometimes it's almost best to say, well, honey, I really don't know, be honest with you, instead of there there's an assumption that we trump up to make it seem like we really know or we have an answer. And sometimes that's where we fail, to say we really don't know or we don't have the answer, but we can certainly seek counsel, from family, parents, leadership, pastors, etc. That will help you to get you what you need, because they need that. If an effort is made, it's almost that you resolve it. It can be looked upon that it's worked on, it's being worked on, and it's trying to be resolved, as opposed to you not doing just nothing, because they want to see you working. and
That's
and,
right.
and I'm surprised that, even with Chris, I mean, Gary, you're saying that you ran out of things to do, because honeydew days, they're here to stay, and they come few far
and
in
far between.
between at times, but more often than not.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and they want to see that you're doing stuff. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
See, when they have a husband or a father that is very responsible, that is following the biblical
yeah,
definition of what a husband or father should be, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that role, because there were times that, again, it was just Sandra and I, but there were times that, when it was really bad, I'm the grocery shopper. I like to grocery shop, and I would go out, and if I couldn't find the particular meat that I know that we liked, that's silly, but I felt defeated when I would come back home, and I would tell her, well, I couldn't find any chicken, and she really didn't care that much, but I would come back home and say I couldn't find any chicken, or the toilet paper was out of all the stores, because I just felt that as the provider, that was my responsibility to provide. And
hmm,
that's a piece, Chris, that maybe they don't understand. The other piece is, I know for me, I don't I like to pick my spots in communication, and it seems as if the wives are always wanting to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
and there are times where I'm just relaxing, And Sandra will come, maybe out of the bedroom or come into the room that I'm in. And when I see her coming, there's just feeling that come over me. What does she want to talk about right now? I don't want to talk right now.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
that's a challenge.
Wow.
That's a
yeah.
challenge because,
You must be
and
over
then
here. You must be down here in Douglasville too. Go ahead. Go ahead.
so that's a challenge, and that's a piece that that's just the way God made us,
Mm-hmm.
and it's funny how our wives will try to change us,
Mm.
from being who we are. So that's a funny challenge as well. So that's a piece that I think that women, even to this day, they just don't understand that we don't have as many words as they do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Geraldine Hollis out of California, she said, good and sincere communication is not always easy, but it's a work in progress. I think all marriages are work. Even if my parents have been married 60 something years, I think their marriage is still a work in progress. So I think we're still, building that relationship to be a solid one. There's always going to be ebbs and flows in everything in life,
Mhm.
where, one minute you may be on a high, the next minute you all may be just, a cats and dog fight, So I
Right.
think that, it's just a way that, hey, you got to trust God. And, I always, I'm serious though when I talk about it, but it's kind of funny, if I want to do something that's major, I don't tell Carlette, and I may bring it up to her, but I say, hey God, you gonna have to take this fight. You gonna have to take this battle, because I'm not gonna try to tell her to do anything that she don't want to do, because then it's gonna make it look like I'm pushing her. So I just say, hey God, you deal with it. So yeah,
I do the same, Chris. There's certain things that I'll make the decision and just deal with the consequences later after I share it with Sandra, and she'll say, well, why didn't you discuss that with me? I just didn't feel at that moment. I didn't feel like the back and forth. And there's just some decisions we as husbands and fathers and men are just going to make, deal with the consequences later.
mm-hmm,
There's other decisions that yes, we should consult
mm-hmm,
our wives, but there's some that you don't want it. You don't want that that, let me call it, distraction at
mm-hmm.
that moment, and you just make the decision.
Right. Because it's hard to. Bible talks about a soft. What is it? Soft answer turns away wrath.
That's the way we're at. Correct.
And it's hard over here in Douglas to do a soft answer, boy. So yeah, so no, I get it. I totally get it. Let's switch lanes now, and let's talk about the things. And I said I didn't want to go down this path, but how do we deal with, like Gary, Pastor Bush, you said that you're a news junkie, just for lack of
Hmm.
lack of a phrase, but like, how do we deal with the stuff that's going on in the news regarding like all this Republican and Democratic stuff and Trump and Biden, and just from a high level, because I don't want to get too deep in this, but you look
Hmm.
at the officers they got battered at the on January 6th. Like, mentally, how do we deal with this? And then once you explain that, talk about it from a um to help the youth understand what we're going through and what not to do, or you know what I mean.
Yeah, this is what I share with people. The 4 years that we endured under President Trump, the most damage he did was truth is no longer valued.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, That's good.
That's how I summarize it. Truth is no longer valued.
Hmm.
Lies now are just as valuable as truth.
Right.
Think
Yeah.
about it. Think about everything that we're dealing with the vaccines, the mask, it's just, yeah. That's my summarization
Okay.
of the damage that was done. Truth is no longer valued.
So y'all type that in the chat. Truth is no longer valued. That's good. That's good. Type that in the chat. So Daren, what about you? Like, how are you dealing with just stuff that's going on in the news and just
Well, just with Trump when he was in the time that he was in, there's a number of things that I can speak of. But one of the first things that really kind of bothered me just from a military standpoint, where just to ascertain to be able to come like a four-star general, you know what I mean? You have to go once you get your first star, from your first star up to your fourth star, everything has to go through Congress for every star that you get. And you'll
Hmm,
get a total of four of them. So Flynn, which was his guy, he sacrificed everything that he acquired, and he will go down in history as his name being mud in the military, period. He
that's
sold
right.
himself. I mean, there were things that you saw that was wrong, and he bamboozled so many of those generals. I had kept the number of military people, in particular generals, where they have just sold their souls, sort of say, just to be in company with him. And that is a no-no. That is definitely a no-no. So I was just very disappointed in him because he was like, to me, he was like the first military person that had did something to that extreme. And Flynn, he denied everything up until the FBI got involved, and then it all came out that there was untruths that were told, and then he ended up, you know, um, I think spending some time or whatever, and it was just unfortunate, to reach that point. I mean, all of the studying and all of the um, support that he had to reach where he reached. Um, he didn't do that, and that was one of the things that I loved about Colin Powell. Even though they wanted him to come in to be a president, it wasn't worth it to him to lose what he had
Right.
as a four-star general chief of staff. One of the first blacks that has matriculated all the way up, to the rank that he was.
hmm
And so that's there was so many untruths, man, and it just went on and on and on. And then when you would go against him, the next thing you know, that person is fired, be
yeah.
it military or whatever. You
Hmm.
know, you um, it's just unfortunate. The Bible talks about people in the latter days, you know, men's ears would turn wax cold and they'll turn a deaf ear, and all of this. And they told us these scriptures and they told us these messages even as children. And in my mind, in our minds back then, we like, yeah, right, okay, whatever. But the Bible is true. It is true. Um, it will not lie. It hasn't lied. God is coming back. The King is coming back.
Hmm.
He's coming back to get his bride one day, and we are so caught up. And one of my favorite, and I'm gonna leave this alone, but one of my favorite scriptures that I love, and that's Matthew 6:33, where it simply just says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and all these other things will be added on to unto you. That is so simplistic. It just says, you just go to God for that. And all these other things is relative to your jobs, to your children, to your finances, to your health. and all these other things will be added unto you. You have to keep things in principle. You have to keep things in order for you to really understand where is it, what direction that you're going, what is it that you shouldn't be doing,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
because if you seek God first, He will give you that. He'll give you. He may not give you what you want, but he'll give you the answers that you need. Because everything that we want is not everything that we need.
Right,
Period.
right. So I want to be mindful of Pastor Bush's time.
Yes.
So it's 7:46. I know you had some other obligations, and we just want to appreciate you for coming on. And then we'll just continue the segment with Daren at this time. But thank you so much for your words of wisdom and
I
being on the
appreciate
show.
the opportunity, Chris, and I want, if I can, as I go, some of the things, everything Daren just said was so powerful. I'm sitting there. I had never heard anyone pull in the military piece the way he just did, and how he tied it into the honor code. And
Yeah.
we have to get our young people to understand that truth and honor does matter. And
Yes,
we have
sir.
to turn this thing around. Um, the world was already bad enough, and then we had this example of untruth and low morals, and so we've got to turn this thing around and raise the value of truth again with our young people and morals with our young people. And yes, seek ye first the kingdom of God and stand on the word of God. We've got to return the respect to the word of God. I mean, the pure word of
Yes.
God, not the
Yes.
political
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
use of it, but the pure word, because the young people are being pulled in so many different directions. Our children and grandchildren are being pulled in so many different directions. And our young men, I mean, we could have a whole show on our young black men, and how we need to get them to understand that they were made in the image of God. And I always say, Daren, if we could preach to these young men and get them to understand that they were made in the image of God, they
Wow.
wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
shoot each other.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when they
Yeah.
see their brother, they would say, that's the image of God. I can't harm the image
Yeah.
of God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my prayer, is that we reach out, and maybe, Chris, we can do a whole show on
Yeah.
just, focusing on our young black men and
Definitely.
getting and raising their self-esteem.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Let's do that next month.
All right. All
All right.
right.
Well,
God
thank
bless
you
you
so
guys. Love
much.
you
All right.
guys.
Love you
All
too.
right.
All
All
right.
right.
Yeah, man.
So, on that point, let's touch on that a little bit, Darren. And your part of your head is still being cut off a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you're showing those muscles and stuff. So, so like how I wanted to actually let's go back a bit from my initial thought. So, I want to say that you and Nakia have been very instrumental into the Edwards family, Chris and Carlette specifically, when it comes to counseling, just calling, checking up on us. So we truly, I want to put it in the airwaves and on the internet now, that we appreciate you all for that. So like, what do you say to couples? What do you say to a man who, let's talk about finances, for a brief minute. Like, how do you, if I can ask, how do you manage the financial piece, and without, from a high level, but without getting into you all's business, but like, what would you recommend, you know, uh, the financial piece?
Well, for me, when we first got married, um, I knew that she was already involved with ministry,
Mm-hmm.
and she has, you know, she had her undergrad and grad, and was just, in school, and had a very high position, um, with one of the colleges, where she ran three colleges, Northwest Indiana, and we were only maybe about a year in of marriage, and I told her that because you have um, committed your life to God over the years, that that I'm willing to, allow you to take, step down from your position, and I will be the guy that will take care of everything as
Mm-hmm.
much as I can,
Mm-hmm.
um, as far as the household finances, you know. And believe me, it was a faith walk. We weren't even married a year,
Wow.
and you usually don't tell your spouse to come off work.
Mm-hmm.
There's still obligations, but without faith, it's impossible to please him. And then you really just think on, your purpose. What is it that is most important to you as a couple, um, in life, as togetherness? Now, my cousin, your brother-in-law,
Mm-hmm.
um, I heard we came to Indiana some years ago, and he was preaching a message, and he just plain out one of the things I remember him saying, and it really stuck with me. That's been over 10 years ago, that he said that, man, my main ministry or my main objective is to make sure my wife makes it to heaven.
Mm. Oh
That
wow.
blew me away. Yeah, make it to heaven. That is his, Pastor Javon, Apostle Javon Blakely. He said that is my main objective, is to make sure my wife makes it to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've kind of taken on that tag, and I share with others that that should be our main objective, is to make sure that our spouses make it to heaven, because again, they are more emotional beings,
Mm-hmm.
and it's up to us to protect them, at all times as much as possible. And they feel a level of comfort when they know that they're taken care of, regardless of um, how big your muscles are, and what kind of car you got, and how much is in your, how many zeros are behind the ones in your bank account. They want to know that they're taken care of emotionally, spiritually, and financially, not just one. All of those work in tandem together, and it has to be. It's not even an option.
Mm-hmm.
So we as men sometimes lose sight of what's really most important, in especially when you get married. Now you can
Mm-hmm.
kind of, get away with some things as you are single, but especially when it comes down to marriage, you have to really understand the basic principles of it. What is it that um, what is your main objective
Mm-hmm.
in getting married? Is it a trophy? Because that trophy is going to get old.
Mm-hmm.
Is it that you have, the right standards to understand the component of marriage, the institution of marriage?
Mm-hmm.
God created marriage. That's one of the greatest um, institutions that He's created. And sometimes we even have to, we as men, that I share with some of the guys here in Texas, that sometimes we got to go back to the lab.
Mm-hmm.
What are you saying, Daren? I'm saying go back to the lab where it all began, where you put your formulas together to create that relationship with her. Was it flowers? The lab is inclusive of,
Mm.
but not limited to, flowers, um, um, taking her out to dinner, just being there for her, those things, not so much of the things that you really have forgotten, because we tend to forget what is it that we did to get their attention. And then once we got there, so for example, you know how the Carlette,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
When you came in front of the house with the windows, down, and the sunroof, and I had to check you out before you met my cousin. So I wanted to know what you was all about before she
Right.
even came.
Right.
So I had to check out the source here. So before she came down, because she wanted to know.
Right.
So while she was freshening up and getting herself together,
Yes.
at the house.
What
And
a glorious
I
day.
wanted to make sure, yeah. But it's just kind of a laughing joke, that we have. But
Mm-hmm.
I know that your intentions were always good for her.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm grateful for that. And, and it just really helps to have a spiritual um, foundation or something that you can tag back to, or you can go back to, because that is, the Bible talks about, you know, um, that we lean on, chariots and horses for that. And, and all these, there's so many songs, there's so many writers, there's so many messages and so many scriptures that's biblically based, that, you know, um, it hasn't changed, regardless of what people say. And they don't think that there's a God in heaven, and, Jesus was, a white guy and long hair and all this, and he ain't real. And oh, he is real.
Mm-hmm.
Trust and believe. God is real. He's just as real as Jesus, the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. And those basic things, the principles, you got to have that. It whether whether you stand alone by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
or whether you're in tandem with someone else that gets what you're getting, but you have to stay rooted and grounded, in that.
Wow, that's powerful. I mean that, and even Sandra said that's powerful, cousin Daren Blakely. So,
Uh,
but yeah, just
yeah,
what Pastor Jay said. Just man, I never thought about that. Like,
yeah.
you want to make sure that your wife gets to heaven.
Recording.
You said what?
Yeah. No.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so,
So yeah, we just gotta apply, what we know to do. And, I think I've shared with you before that, we go to, our parents tell us to go to school and get good grades. And you get, get good grades, you will get good jobs.
mm-hmm.
So we apply those principles, scholastic principles in place, and we like, yeah, we're gonna do all of that. But when we get married, we get a good job, right? But when
Mm-hmm.
we get married, we don't apply some of those same principles that's biblically based, that will help us, when we have, differences of opinion, or, um, when there's sickness in the home. And what do we do? Do we just not be there for them and whatever? And I've fallen short of that myself. So believe me, I'm telling you things that we've experienced. I didn't get it right all the time. I really didn't. And I ask for forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Forgiveness is one of the strongest things that one can do, especially for a man. When you speak about um, a man not really, or what is that a man should do, if he's wrong, then you ask for forgiveness. You try not. That's your ability, because forgiveness. When you ask for forgiveness, that says, I'm not going to do it anymore. That's in essence what it's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't want to do it anymore. And we don't get it right all the time, but 70 times 7.
Wow, man, we need to have a whole marriage counseling. I mean, a marriage
Yeah.
session for the
Oh, we
Blakeleys.
do. I'm saying that, we live it. I'm speaking of the Blakeleys. We live it, and we try to, it isn't about a show, but it is about being, honest with each other. And no one got us together. They told us we had to get together.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that we desire to do. And we just had to commit to ourselves, that this is what we want to do. And then, you know, seek each other, in an honest way, that we're in it for the long haul.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So
And
would
and
you?
that's
No. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. Finish what you.
and that's what happens with the world.
Mm-hmm.
This thing that you hear in California, a lot of these celebrities, when they say, wow, they've made it to the 3 year mark, they've made it to the 5 year mark. Can you believe it? And that's not, you don't live to be married for numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You live for marriage because you're committed to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the greatest institution, again, that God has created. One of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would love, we had did something, and we brought on Pastor Jay and his wife and a couple other couples last year. And that, there's a lot of marriages that are out there that are hurting even during this pandemic. And I know that we're involved with marriage boot camp here in Texas, where we help to, facilitate, people coming in from all across the country, that's broken and at their last wick and saying, hey, this is it. We've had some that just was like, I'm done. And because of that hard, 4 or 5 days of one-on-one, dealing with some heavy stuff, I really can't go into it, but it is to say that you see that transformation from where there was opposition from especially the husband to where they can't stop loving on their wives. And that's just one of the beauties of God, that I'm telling you, when you want something bad, you'll seek it. And that goes back to what I was telling you, as far as the scripture, it's Matthew 6:33. So it's needed. It's definitely needed. There's a lot of people that are out there that are hurting because they don't even know how to deal, financially. I think you or you made mention of people losing their jobs, and they don't know what these fellas don't know what to do. They need help.
Right.
They got to seek God. They got to seek God.
Wow.
That's not even an option.
Yeah.
Again.
It looks like we're having a little technical difficulties, but so man, I wanna thank you. I will put that together. I'll put together this talk about black men, and then we'll need to put together something like a marriage virtual marriage seminar. I know you all did it. So maybe you can kind of help us to, formulate that and see what all it's going to take, whether it's Zoom or what have you. But man, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for your words. Definitely words of wisdom. If I hadn't gotten anything out of this talk, the number one thing that really hit me was we got to get our wives to heaven.
Yep.
So that's powerful from a man's perspective. So, man, I appreciate you. I know the hour is late. I told you 8:00, so I want to honor that time. Wait a minute. Wait.
What we got?
Wait a minute. Wait.
All right, let's start up from the beginning.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
Oh, she has arrived.
So, baby, I know you were listening in.
I was, and I was commenting. Listen, you have to live with me. That's all I got to say. Hey, Pastor Daren.
Oh, yeah, right. Hey.
Congregational Pastor Daren. Hallelujah. Executive Elder.
Oh,
no, what you said was powerful. I took a break and I called my brother and I was like, listen, I don't care if you got to call in or something. You have to explain that I want to see my wife make it to heaven. I want to make sure she goes to heaven, or however you said it.
Yep. He said, great job. Yep. I'm really enjoying this. He said, I'm really enjoying this. So
who said this?
That's what your brother said. My Bill.
My brother.
Yeah, I tried to get him on the show. Good. I sent him the link, but
he was actually out running errands.
I don't care. He could bring it up on his phone. He got an iPhone.
Well, that's what I told him. I said, but it was a lot of background noise, like somebody playing with dishes or something.
Is Nakia putting up dishes?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, praise the Lord.
So we heard some dishes. But it's like that was, man, that hit.
Yeah.
I was like, Chris, are you making sure I make it to heaven?
I'm trying.
Oh no, we having a whole discussion about this.
I'm trying, boy.
Ooh, I mean, what does that mean?
Yeah, we got to get Jay on the
Man.
phone in order to explain
Yeah,
that.
What
we
does
really
that
do.
mean? I told him to call your phone.
Let me see. You
I
got a
told-
minute, Daren? I know.
Huh?
You still got time? Are
Mhm.
you okay? All right.
Yeah, yes.
All right. Let's do this thing. Let me try.
Hey, Winona. I mean, seriously. Yeah, Sandra said this was great. What Pastor J said, I got to make sure my wife make it to heaven. Yeah, I got a thought of what it means. Oh, you do, Sandra? Do you have the phone lines open?
Mm-mm.
all
No,
night.
I'm about to call my
This
bill.
was something.
Let's see if he answers the phone.
Man, I was like, oh.
Pastor J. He
Is he calling you?
always wants to FaceTime.
He can't FaceTime in a live
Pastor
show.
J, you cannot FaceTime.
Is he coming in?
Pastor J,
He got to stop trying to FaceTime.
you can't FaceTime when you're live on the show.
He's
Man,
Oh,
there. You go.
I'm in the Hobby Lobby.
okay, you live on the Hobby Lobby show. Let me put your see, there's Pastor J. All right.
Oh.
Can you explain a little bit more about you got to get Felicia to heaven?
Hold up. Why is my name up there?
Why? Because you clicked on the link. But go ahead. Go ahead, Pastor J.
Now, one scripture, and I'll let y'all elaborate on it. That husbands love wives as Christ loved the church. Jesus is the husband. The church is the wife or the bride of Christ. And so what did Christ do? He gave us life for his bride. And so we have to give of ourselves to our wives.
Mm-hmm.
And in our process of giving ourselves, because nobody knows us like our wives. They know the real us,
Mm-hmm.
Besides when we're preaching, they know the real us at home. And so they know us at home. And so when we live a life in the home that they can be won by, we're supporting them, we're loving them, we're making sacrifices for them because we love them. And if we live it at home the way we're supposed to biblically, our wives should be won by our lifestyle. Our wives should be won through our lifestyle. And that's the thing that we really have to do in the home, live that life where our wives want the same salvation of the relationship that we have with God. And then they'll be won by our relationship with God, or they'll draw closer to God by seeing our relationship and our sacrifice towards them. So that scripture, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. We got that out of that.
That's deep. Well, why are you looking at me like that?
So you flip it from natural to spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flip it from natural to spiritual. Husband, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Christ is the example. He's the comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Are we loving our wives as Christ loved the church? That's the question.
Wow.
Chris, you quiet. Are we loving our wives like Christ loved his bride? That is the question. Man, I am enjoying this show.
I'm a flip
Daren,
it.
you blowing me away. Tell Daren he's blowing me away.
He can hear you. He can hear you.
Yeah,
He's blowing me away. I said, man, we're gonna have to set up something in Michigan City where him and Nikia got to come, Chris and Carlette got to come, and we just do a family marriage conference.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
That'd
That'd
be
be good.
real good.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, we get invited to be on the same panel as them. Ha ha!
Yeah,
We moving up.
That's what I'm saying.
We are moving up.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah. We on the same stage as Daren.
Wait, I know.
And Pastor Jake.
Ooh-wee.
Ooh.
Hey, I love y'all. I got to get off this phone.
Okay.
I got to do what my wife. I got to get myself.
Listen.
I got to do what she need me to do with this stove.
All right, man.
Well,
All right.
I said hello.
Love
man.
y'all.
Love
All right,
you
love
too.
Love you too.
All right, bye.
I tell you, I love how we can call my family and get such great spiritual advice and knowledge
Yes.
and understanding and but I won't stay on long because this was a man thing and it was wonderful. The male perspective. The Lord is good.
The Lord is moving.
The Lord is good. That was right on time. The Lord gave that to us, that topic, and he blessed.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. 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 Yeah. And for all the men that are discouraged, you know, my mother-in-law always says, "Are you encouraged?" You know, and you have to. Sometimes you got to encourage yourself. You know, when you're not encouraged, you got to encourage because they're looking. The wives are looking for us because we are, you know, the ones that we said that in sickness and in health, you know, and health for me doesn't always mean that they're just out and about, but that the relationship is healthy, you know. So I add that on to it. So whatever that we can be, you know, we need to be transparent, be very liquid as husbands, and just, you know, we have a reset button over here, and we don't always hit it because when you hit it all the time, it becomes a common thing.
Oh.
But you kind of work through it because you'll abuse it.
Yeah.
You will
Reset.
abuse it. So it has to be specifically when we hit that reset button that it's resetting it for something that was major that has happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you should hit the reset button for, I think.
That's
but,
good.
yeah.
That's good. And then that means you're not learning. You're not learning why you did it. You didn't learn the reason why, you know, so you can stop.
Right.
Gotta have some consistency. I got it. That's good.
Well, man, we want to save some of your nuggets for the next show, for the marriage retreat.
The marriage
virtual.
retreat.
So we appreciate you. We'll be calling you after the show just to say thank you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate it.
And
Take
God
it easy.
bless your listeners too.
All right.
God
Thank
bless
you.
your listeners.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Love to all the family.
Yes.
Wow. What about that?
It was amazing.
Yes. That was
good.
yeah.
That was real good. Go ahead.
I was going to just the next few minutes, why don't you tell people about your canning show?
So this past Saturday, I had Canning with Carlette, class number 2, and we did. It was all things tomato. Tomato was the foundation, and we did, of course, it was the water bath canning, and we made salsa, fresh salsa. We made stewed tomatoes, and we made spaghetti sauce, all from scratch. And we canned it, did the water bath process to seal it in the jar, the can, whatever you want to. Well, it's a glass jar, but it's called canning. And it was amazing. I made lasagna from my fresh sauce. And needless to say, the lasagna is gone. So I do realize now I have to make 2 pans of lasagna.
Someone got 3 helpings.
Okay.
Somebody got 2 helpings.
I'm just saying.
And I forget how many Evan got.
He got 2.
Yeah.
Chloe had 2.
And that's unusual. For
yeah,
her,
it is. So it was just wonderful. We have already set the date for our next class. It will be all things vegetables. We have 2 vegetables in mind we will be canning. And that date is set for, can I say it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
August 28th.
I don't know if I got that.
August 28th. Don't worry about it. That graphic will be set, but it was wonderful. We had more to attend. People invited people from the first class, and the class doubled. And so I am so grateful. Everybody spreading the word, joining in, and having fun. And it was so much that we did. It was really 2 classes in one, because salsa is a class by itself. But hey, we live and we learn. I was excited. I wanted people to learn. And I posted on Facebook my 11 jars of a variety of the spaghetti sauce, salsa, and stewed tomatoes. And I just appreciate a husband that supports me as my producer and running the show.
I need to
kept
get
me
paid.
hydrated.
I need to get that money.
He made me some mock mimosas. It was just sparkling cider and orange juice, and it was so good. It kept me going. I didn't even think about that. I only think about water. So it was really good, and I appreciate you. Thank you so very much for that. I had fun. They had fun. They are still talking about it. I gave them homework. They're already turning homework in. They are excited. They are so excited. So we got us a little chat going on, a private chat, and so. Hey, come and invest in yourself and learn a skill, learn a life skill, and that's what they're doing. And, of course, the next class, we taking the next step, we're going to be dealing with pressure canners when you have to deal with vegetables and meat products, but we're just going to be dealing with vegetables at this time. And, we're going to start advertising. It will be done completely on Eventbrite. I will no longer accept Cash Apps. It will be strictly Eventbrite. No more Cash Apps.
Yes.
So let Eventbrite handle it, because it makes it more organized as we are growing.
Yes.
And we are growing, seriously. So I'm grateful, and they are excited. I met new people. They talk to each other. We talk to each other like we've been knowing each other for years. It was wonderful.
It was a 4-hour class.
That's why I say it was really 2 classes.
No more.
I was like, guys, but they were so happy what they walked around with.
Falling asleep on the couch. I was tired.
But the future one won't be that long.
Wore me out.
Let it happen. I won't. So, okay, I'm done with that. Thank you.
What else happened? What else? We talked about Evan's birthday.
I know I listened to that. It was nice you had him on.
Yes, he loves our show, and I guess he might be a regular. Might have to buy him another chair to sit next to you. I don't know. This guy, I tell you, he's becoming a professional. So, what else do we have? Any other big news? School starts this week.
School starts. That's why, one of the reasons I wasn't here, because I had to do all these orientations and open houses. All I'm going to say is folks pray. Folks pray. Seriously. Pray. Pray. Seek God. My supervisor, I was just talking to her from a nurse's perspective. She's a nurse, and just saying, and she was like, lift your children and lift them up in prayer. I'm like, that's already happening. But I was like, exactly. Because it's a horrible decision that we as parents have to make right now. And whether keep them in, and then you go to these open houses and you see how people are. It's like, are y'all kidding me?
Were people wearing masks? Oh. Okay.
I would say 99% were not in masks.
So that means the 1%, the one person was only you.
1%.
Okay.
It was some.
Were people looking at you strange?
I had it to happen one time. It was a teacher, actually. And I'm seriously thinking about letting them know.
They said something to you?
I'm a mother. I catch and I read lips, and I hear, and I catch them glances. I know what you said. I seriously want to say something.
You should.
She was on the main hall to the left.
What'd she say?
I'm not getting into that.
Oh, tell me after the show. All right, y'all. This is a wrap. This is Chris. It was Chris Live, but now it's Chris and Carlette Live. And so we are wrapping it up.
Y'all need to pray. Call on the name of the Lord. I'm serious, y'all. We are in serious times. And you know what else came to me? Ask God for a praying spirit. No, seriously, like you are in tune. That came to me today again, because that's something I always pray. Lord, I want to keep a praying spirit.
Mm-hmm.
I can't always be on my knees, on my face, but I can be in tune, have something in my heart, a conversation that is going on, just apt to pray. I am prone. If I feel a nudging, a leading, anything.
Shandai.
Okay, I'm serious.
Baby, I know, but
it's like if seriously, I'm sensitive, and I want to remain sensitive. Okay. And so I'm just saying.
We're trying to end this show, baby.
Well, you just asked, was there anything new?
No, I did.
You did.
No, I was about to
started talking.
But I was about to end the show, and then you thought about something.
Yeah, listen.
And
a praying spirit.
Okay, now you're going back into it.
Okay,
and
I'm done.
To end the show.
Call on the name of the Lord.
Okay, is that it?
I'm done.
Are you sure?
And I'm going to keep saying it. I've been saying it on every show, and I'm going to keep saying it. You need to pray. Okay, I'm done.
Yes, I should just take the end of every show and then just sample that piece that you said.
Because I may say something different.
All right, y'all. It's time to finally.
Yep, dinner's done.
Pray in the show. Oh, she took off the. Well, you need to get up and walk away from the mic so that we know that you're totally done. Because, here, let me swing. You know what? I'm in control of the mute button. So I'm just going to mute this. And so, all right. Yeah, we talked about the book. See, she wants to go. She loves to talk, y'all. She loves it. I'm so proud of her. She loves to talk. My wife, Carlette, loves to talk. Yes, she does. My sweetie boo-doo-boo. All right, y'all. We will talk to y'all next Monday. We might have a special show. I was trying to, I won't divulge that. But, yeah, we are still trying to collect names so that we can do our book reading, our book, whatever you want to call it. Huh? Yeah, roundtable discussion. So we're still trying to gather those names. So we will talk to you all next week.
Thanks for joining us this week on Chris and Carlette Live. Make sure to visit our website, chrisandcarlette.com. If you're on Facebook, share this broadcast. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to our show. You may also find us on Apple Podcast, where you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. Let us stay in contact with you by texting CNC Live to 474747. That's CNC Live to 474747.
CNC Live.